What's up, Earth Rockers? It's your boy Shovatar back again for the last of the Richter route. last of the Richter, rather, last of the Richter videos. On this route, I'll be going alternate 2, I'll be going 1, then alternate 2, then normal 3, then alternate 4, then normal 5. Um, Much like how the last route that I posted had an interesting section that was particularly difficult, that being the transition from normal 2 to alternate 3. Um, this route also has a particularly tricky section, which is the route from alternate 3, no, from normal 3 to alternate 4. And I'm not going to talk about that until we get there, but that is sort of like the main reason why I wanted to make this video and why I wanted to talk about that part, because I don't think the footage on its own conveys just how obnoxious and unfortunate that particular segment is. And in the meantime, I have a little bit more to say. There's a chair over there on the left, up top there, and in this room down here, this basement area, those blocks on the left near all those statues are also breakable, but if you go through those blocks, the only thing that's there is like a big plant monster that you can kill, and there's nothing else down there. So if I was solely devoted to the cinematic value of these videos, I would have gone down there and showed you guys the big evil plant monster, but because there were but I really wanted to get more attempts on the particularly difficult section that's coming up ahead. So I didn't really want to fuck around in the early parts. I just wanted to get back to that part as quickly as I possibly could. Excuse me. And get as many attempts of that done as I possibly could. Fun fact, I was, in some other video, I was complaining about not understanding the layout of this area. Well, there's Dracula's castle right there. I don't know where exactly I'm going on this bridge, but I'm going from this bridge to a different bridge. But there's no world map like there is in Castlevania 4 that would help me visualize this shit. With this boss, you basically just have to do what? Well, there's nothing. I mean, I think the strategy should just be apparent from the footage, where you just back out of the way when he does that. You try to like take shots at him if you can, and then when he's up here doing his breath, that's kind of when he's like most vulnerable, because you know he's going to stay still for a second. But you also don't have that much time to take any good shots at him before you have to get back in position to like backflip over his attack. So this boss is actually pretty tricky. The sort of balancing factor is that I think it has less health than other bosses. It feels like it dies faster. And I don't really like this boss because of the fact that it involves like a three-dimensional element where like when he jumps over the bridge, you have to like tell when his spine is coming down to the floor, and that's kind of like, I don't know. I'm not very good with depth perception. I'm not very good with when 3 dimensions are incorporated into a 2-dimensional game. So I don't really like that part. It seems like visually unclear conveyance, I guess I would say, if I had to put it in gaming terminology. This bridge level, I think all I really said in my alternate route video was that I didn't like it very much, and that's true, because there's just not much going on. It kind of is what some people say all the levels in Rondo of Blood are, which is it's just kind of one long hallway, with not a whole lot going on, and it's still early game, so enemies that would die in more hits later on die much more easily here, like the turrets dying in a single the turrets and the skeletal swordsman dying in a single cross throw, or 2 whip shots, kind of example of what I'm talking about. So it's an easy level, and there's nothing really else going on with it to compensate for that. Where, I guess what I mean by that is that like level 2 on normal route is also a pretty easy level, but there's some big set pieces like the behemoth chase, and the music is pretty good. Here, I don't really like the music for this place, and I don't really like the fact that there are like pits around, although that's kind of the only thing that they could do to break up a level with a concept like this. I guess the gargoyles are kind of interesting to fight in that it's kind of different the way that you fight them. It's not really like anything else except for until you get to the harpies in the clock tower. But it's also very annoying to fight them because of the way they dodge around. But at the same time, it does feel nice when you get them like I just did there with the backwards with the return cross movement. So I guess they must not detect that. They must not know that that's there when that happens. I picked up a jar. I went out on my way to break a jar before the level 1 boss to get some extra hearts. And I think I'm waiting for the swordsman to show back up, but the swordsman seems to have fucked off. So I guess that's the end of that. Yeah, I picked up 15 extra hearts, basically for the werewolf boss. So just like have a lot of item crashes for the werewolf boss, which in my normal route video I was kind of going out of my way to not use item crashes on the werewolf boss. I don't really like care about that anymore because I'm just trying to get to level 3 so I can attempt the level 3 into alternate 4 transition again. Look at this shit. There's just one after the other. It's like a fucking Monty Python sketch. I guess I could make note of the decorations on the bridge, the little topless winged statues. Fighting those guys, those guys are kind of irritating because they have a habit of kind of like jumping out of nowhere, and the only reason I was able to make them jump off the cliff, jump into the pit there is because I knew they were coming, because I jumped forward into them so many times. There are a couple places like that in Castlevania games where it's like they don't like you jumping. They were like if you jump forward, they'll throw something at you that you couldn't possibly anticipate. And it's kind of annoying because I like to go forward. I don't really like the idea of being punished for going forward, but this game is much, much less egregious about that than Dracula X is. But again, that's going to be a conversation for a different and future video. So here I think I'm probably just going to item crash this idiot like maybe 2 or 3 times. Or I guess not. I don't know why I'm not just item crashing him. Oh, maybe I want these hearts for something else later. That might be the case actually. Because now that I'm watching this, I can't think of any reason why I would be like holding on to 75 hearts like this against the werewolf boss unless there was something I wanted them for later. I might item crash once he goes into his like Sonic the Hedgehog phase, but no, I'm still fighting him normally. Okay, I think I know. Oh no, there we go. All right. I guess I forgot how much damage item crashes could do. This guy's still fucking fighting me? What is this guy? This guy's like spazzing out. What's his problem? Okay, there we go. That was weird. I don't know if the game didn't notice that he was dead or what. But yeah, I think I'm holding on to all these hearts for something that's gonna come into play in terms of the level 3 to alternate 4 transition. Because what's gonna happen is there is some platforming. That's not really the problem. The problem is that in order to get to the alternate boss, in order to get to the alternate boss that takes you to alternate 4 from level 3, you have to get to an area with a specific with a certain sub-weapon if you're playing as Richter. Maria doesn't really need one. Doesn't really need that, but if you're playing as Richter, you need to get to a certain area with the axe, and really no other sub-weapon is going to work for this. Maybe the Bible, but either way, the problem is that there's an enemy that they put right before that area that is like this really fast little burglar guy who will steal your sub-weapon and then run away. And after he steals your sub-weapon, he like goes above you, and if you're playing as Richter, you can't really do anything effectively to chase him, so he'll just run off with your sub-weapon. So it's like they really didn't want people to take this route, I guess. It's just weird. It's weird for them to implement something that specific and that difficult to deal with just for something as simple as like an alternate level path, because it's not like going to the mountain region is some kind of like reward. Like you wouldn't want to do it. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's the game's way of telling you, hey, don't go to this level because it's bad. Am I gonna item crash here? I am. That's funny. Okay. Well, that's kind of overkill, but I guess that's one way to use 20 hearts. But the reason that I think I'm holding on to all these hearts is so that I can is so that when the burglar shows up, I can just use the axe item crash to kill it as quickly as I possibly can. Because the thing, it not only is it fast, it also takes a pretty good amount of hits. I think it actually takes 2 axe shots to die, which is like 4 whip swings, which is pretty fucking ridiculous. I think a little like scrawny like thief enemy that steals your sub-weapon should just die in like 1 hit from anything. But maybe they knew that would make it like too easy, just that they were like really weirdly committed to this concept of let's put this enemy here that steals your sub-weapon. And now, see, actually, you know what? I should have held on to that stopwatch. Because I bet this... Actually, well, no, because the stopwatch wouldn't have made a difference. Because it's not like I can't fight the burglar with one sub-weapon, then go back and get another one. Actually, wait, yeah, I could have. I actually could have. So maybe, because enemies don't respawn in this game. So I may have made this a lot harder for myself than I needed to be because I forgot about the fact that enemies don't respawn. Because I guess what I could have done is gone way forward, kill the burglar enemy, go back to the candle that drops the axe, get the axe from the candle, then go back again. But it's possible that they may have anticipated that and made the burglar respawn. I don't really recall if I ever tried that or if it ever worked out. But the way that I ended up doing it, because I forgot that enemies don't respawn in this game, ended up being a lot more difficult, which was yeah, picking up the axe here and then going forward and dealing with the burglar that way. This area is also stressful in general because if I fall into any one of those pits, I don't die, but it takes me to the normal route, and so then I can't go to the alternate route. So the run is effectively over if I fall into any of those pits. So I effectively do die. And these skulls here are another example of a kind of enemy that I've talked about having trouble with before, which is enemies that change their behavior on whether or not you're facing them. Fighting this guy is actually pretty tough because that little spin he does with his lance. Okay, yeah, here's the burglar, and I'm just sort of hoping that I hit him with this first axe swing, and then the second one kills him. So that worked out fine. You really do just have to sort of like throw the axe because there's not really time to hit him by the time he shows up. Once he shows up and you can see him, he's already going to be on you and already going to be taking the axe from you. So you just have to guess pretty much. So that part sucks, but in fairness to the game, this is like a completely optional pathway, and there's no reason that I can think of why this should be so heavily safeguarded. Unless, like, I don't know. Unless they thought that the Minotaur was like really hard and this boss was like really easy. I would say they're roughly equal in terms of difficulty. Like the Minotaur can sometimes give me like serious trouble, but so can this guy. Like with that fire attack, if he doesn't move the way I expect him to. I think he actually fucks me up pretty badly here in this fight. Yeah, because I jump into the fire there, and then I jump into him, and like the rocks keep hitting me. Yeah, he's actually fucking me up pretty badly here. So it's not like this boss is necessarily easier than the Minotaur, in my opinion. But there it is. Those symbols that he shoots out, I don't know what they are. You might think that they're like Japanese kanji, but I don't think so. I've never seen any kanji that looks like that. I'm not exactly a fucking scholar or anything, but I've seen Japanese characters before, and I've never seen anything that looks like that. Maybe they're Chinese or something. I don't know. Maybe Chinese looks different. I'm woefully ignorant, as you can tell. Yeah, this level is like, I guess it's nice that they managed to concoct a scenario where you have a use for the dagger by putting all these things that like die in like one hit and then giving you. This was an interesting way to balance the dagger, was to give it a wider cone and then make it fly at the speed of a fucking bullet. I approve. I approve of the balance changes they made to the axe and to the dagger. And my trek through the mountain region this time is going to be much better than it was on my alternate route video, because I'm not going to have to do the go rescue the lady and then backtrack to go to the log jam. In fact, I'm not going to have to go to the log jam at all. I can just completely bypass them and instead go over the frog bridges. And if I wanted to, I think I probably am going to go down into the lower area where the innkeeper's daughter was imprisoned, because even though she's not there anymore, so she's not going to heal me, there is still a meat down there that I could utilize. No, I'm not doing it. Okay, I guess I changed my mind. Interesting. Interesting. Because what's the boss at the end of this? The Dullahan? I guess I'm not too worried about that. And there's going to be meat before the Dullahan anyway. But here is Rondo of Blood's Igor Gauntlet, and it's pretty tame as far as the Igor Gauntlets go. They don't really throw too many at you. I don't think there's any situations where one comes from behind and one comes. Oh no! What was I saying? There it is. It seems like the only string to their bow is having skeletons jump out from behind the tree towards you, which is pretty childish. And it's a pretty short gauntlet anyway. That was only like 6 or 7 or 8 Igors. Pretty wimpy, I have to say. I don't usually criticize this game for being like too easy, but that was kind of a wimpy gauntlet. Compare that shit to the one in fucking Chronicles original mode, and and you'll see a contrast. Or shit, even the one in 3. Like, although the consequences of fucking up an Igor Gauntlet are much more dire in 3 because he'll take 4 damage. I don't know how much an Igor will do in this game, but I don't think it's going to be a full quarter of your health. Dualahan boss. I actually did kind of give a good play-by-play of this one in my normal route video, so there's not really too much more to say, except just how important it is that you start off behind him, and how that one little thing will make the fight way easier. You also kind of have to be confident to get close enough to him to whip him, because there is like a special range where... See, that there I was just too slow, but I had the right idea. You shouldn't generally be afraid to get too close to him, because there is a range you can hit him with your whip, but he won't hit you with his lance. Double item crash. Interesting. That probably was not necessary. I think I got freaked out because I got hit when I wasn't expecting to, and I was worried that like I was gonna fucking die or something. And I really didn't want to screw up the attempt where I successfully did the normal 3 to alternate 4 transition with the burglar guy. So I think that's why I double item crashed there, because that's kind of excessive. I mean, he was almost dead anyway. I could have just walked up to him and hit him a couple times, and he would have died. So that was kind of the result of panic. I don't necessarily think that the consequences will be too dire, though. I think there's enough hearts in Stage 5 that I'll still be able to get to the Grim Reaper fight without... The fuck? Okay. See, it's those enemies that, like, react to facing or not, or being faced or not being faced that really fuck me up. And this shit... Okay, it works out. Yeah, a couple times when I was doing this, those 2 skeletons with like the long poles with the balls on the end would like fuck with me and would like hit me before I expected them to and before I could kill them. But there they behave themselves. So I should be good from here on out. Although the thing about Rondo of Blood is that honestly the hardest part of the whole game is really the level 6 boss rush. That's kind of the place where things can always go wrong, because the Shaft fight is pretty tough, and then the Medusa fight can be tricky, and the Mummy fight can be tricky because it's based on very specific like Bible subweapon activation timing. So as happy as I am to have gotten past the level 3 part, it's really not... I don't feel safe until the boss rush is over. After that point, level 7 is pretty smooth. The bat bridge can be a problem, and I think I have a pretty awful bat bridge in this video, but obviously I get through it because this is a completed video that you're watching. Fighting these guys here, you want to just jump at them and get in their face. And optimally, they'll do what just happened right there. Where you hit them twice, they jump over you, and then you turn around and hit them a 3rd time. You just have to not have any fear, get in their face, act like it's Fire Emblem. You're trying to get it. They only have 2 range. You have to get into 1 range to attack them without getting counterattacked. And then with this painting, I think I already said, just jump and whip, and he'll just die. Don't ever give this guy an itch. Don't ever fuck around with this thing. I don't know how a painting summons vines. I don't know why there are vines on a pirate ship, but could have just as easily been a lock. But I guess a lock would have been more confusing because then maybe like the player might have thought that they were supposed to go get a key. I don't know. I don't know anything. I misspoke in my normal route video. I said that you have to fight these Igors on the Eagles on their terms. What I meant is not on their terms. You have to get aggressive and get in their face and take the fight to them. And I think these are also enemies that change their patterns or change their behavior based on whether or not you're facing them. Although I'm not really sure because the way they move through the air is so bizarre. Yeah, look at this fucking asshole. Come on, dude. Alright, there we go. And then another one just shows up. Yeah, die, asshole. God. I hate these things. They're so obnoxious. But, look at this shit. See, that has always annoyed me in Castlevania games. When enemies can go underneath the floor to attack you, that seems like something that they shouldn't be able to do. I think I said in Super Castlevania 4 that I felt like 8-directional whipping, like you shouldn't be able to whip enemies through the floor. I don't think enemies should be able to hit you through the floor either. That seems kind of ridiculous. The last Igor dies. I like the fact that the Death's dudes have guns now. They're keeping up with the times. This is 1791. They don't have swords and shields anymore. They've got muskets. I like it. I also don't know why the death fight is happening like on a pirate ship. Usually Death is like right in the middle of Dracula's castle, but he's somewhere else. I guess maybe they wanted to implement a Death fight where he's like floating around more, and in that case, it would make more sense to fight him in an arena where there are edges that you can fall off and get killed in. That also makes Phase 2 more dangerous, because in Phase 2 he can knock you back off the edge. And then on Phase 1, yeah, he's if you try to chase him, if you like keep hitting him and he keeps getting knocked around, you can't like chase him off the edge, because if you try, you'll just fall off. That becomes more relevant in the Dracula X version of this fight, but again, I'm getting ahead of myself. And here, I think I'm just playing like a little bitch. I'm just like item crashing him and then just letting that do most of the work, because I don't want to fucking die after I successfully did the obnoxious normal 3 into alternate 4 burglar shit. And I actually have a hard time. I barely dodge those. The way that attack works is that if he hits you, he'll keep doing it. It's like he keeps doing it until it's not fun anymore. If he doesn't hit you with a volley, he decides it's not fun anymore and he stops and he transitions into Phase 2. But if he keeps hitting you, he'll just keep doing it. And I don't really know if there's any pattern necessarily to the way that he shoots those skulls at you. You just have to kind of like keep moving and just try to react. That also incorporates 3 dimensions. That's like you know, an attack coming at you from the background that I don't really like, but it's not that big of a deal. And yeah, as you can see, I'm like staying in the perfect range away from him, where I can, like, there were some pretty close calls there where the scythe almost hit me, and that's just because I was the correct distance away from him. Where you can hit him with the whip, but he can't hit you with the scythe. Look at those purple mountains, or look at those like, what color is that? Maroon mountains against a purple sky. I guess when Dracula shows up, the sky turns purple. So keep an eye out for that. I've never seen a purple sky. I've seen some weird-ass sky colors. I saw the sky turn orange once, I think. Because, like, with a storm, if, like, a bad enough storm comes through, that's what happens. Speaking of bad enough storm, it's thundering and lightning outside of Dracula's castle. So, maybe I'm closer to the truth than I think. I really like level 6. I like boss fights, and this was basically an excuse for them to incorporate like 5 more of them into the game, which I approve of. Although I don't really necessarily have the hearts that I might like to have. 27, that's still 9 Bible usage, that's fine, that's plenty. And I'm gonna get more from the vampire bat. Yeah, I'm fine. The only thing about the Bible is that I can anticipate using it maybe like once or twice on Medusa, and then maybe once or twice on the Mummy, and then twice on the Frankenstein boss. So that's like what, 6? But the wild card really is Shaft. And as you can tell by the fact that I'm playing this differently, this bat kept on like fucking me up when I was fighting him the way that I was fighting him before, and now he's fucking me up again anyway. So I'm just sort of like, I'm completely discombobulated here. I should just use the fucking Bible, honestly. I should just like hit this guy with the because I can afford 1 or 2 Bible usages here. But I think I'm just, I don't know. I don't know why I'm playing so cautiously in terms of my heart usage. That was kind of, well, that's always my habit though, where I'll hoard hearts. I'll have too many hearts. I guess I also want to make sure I can get the level 7 bridge with a good chunk of hearts, because my strategy there involves throwing axes at the bats that spawn, so I want to make sure that I have enough hearts to like throw axes at every bat. There she is. Okay. Yeah, now she does the jump. I was expecting her to do it earlier than that, but she did it eventually. Yeah, this mummy boss is tough. I think in this footage you'll see me throw the Bible at like a perfect arc so that I destroy all of his projectiles like before they even come out. I think that's what's about to happen. Let's find out. Yeah, that was perfect. That's exactly what I want to have happen every time. And I guess it really just come down to using the Bible as soon as I do that first little jump onto the rock and like making sure that he's the right distance away from me. Although it's a pretty imprecise strategy. You should always just throw a Bible there anyway. Even if it doesn't literally destroy all of his projectiles before they come out, it'll still destroy a good chunk of them and give you something to work with. And I think there I was trying to kill him before he shot the lightning off. Because if you throw a good enough Bible that hits him enough times, that will actually happen, where he'll take enough damage to make that feasible. But there I was 1 whip shot off from pulling that off. So he hit me when I wasn't like trying to dodge. And here, actually, you'll see something interesting, which is that Shaft, doesn't seem to want to activate his orbs if he's actively being attacked. So he stops, he doesn't do anything for a while because I sort of like keep in his face and keep jumping after him. Then he finally does it. By the time he's activating his first orbs, he's like already halfway dead. So this is a really good fight. Until that happens. That's kind of... Actually, this is still fine. It gets bad here when... Oh, no, never mind. What am I talking about? I guess I got confused. I thought this fight was gonna be worse than it was. Didn't I just watch this and didn't I like? Okay, alright, huh? I guess I was confused. Sorry about that. I think I must have screwed up this footage with the first hybrid route footage, because I think in the first hybrid route footage I fuck up the blue and red orbs and I like barely make it through. But there I was safer. Okay. I still have 6 Bible usages left, 18 hearts. That's fucking plenty. Yeah, I could have played the bat more aggressively, probably. Oh well. Oh well. Because the Bible is important on Shaft too, because you just want to keep hitting him. You just want him to die fast, and the Bible is a great way to hit him while you're also dodging his attacks. Oh no, it wasn't the Shaft fight that was bad, it was the bridge that was bad. Right, I think I already said that. So, I'm good for now, I'm good for now. This is where I fucked up. I should have turned around and killed that sword bat when it first showed up, instead of like ignoring it and hoping it would go away. I don't really know why I did that. And now I'm fucking up here again too. I shouldn't be trying to do that. This is actually a situation where I could be doing the thing that I talked about in the normal route video, which is walking backwards, like walking left while facing right, but I just wasn't. I was just panicking pretty much, and I just wanted to try to get to the end of the bridge. As you can tell from the fact that I have immense difficulty hitting a single torch. Oh well. I made it out. I made it out. It's not like Castlevania 1, where if the bats hit you like once on the bridge, you just sort of fucked and you die. Castlevania 1's bats. Yeah, we've come a long way. We've come a long way from 1986 to 1993. Did you guys hear that? I don't know if that got picked up. Some fucking asshole with some loud ass engine was driving by outside. People who do that shit need to chill the fuck out. This and level 7 is also, I guess I would say if I this does feel slightly too generous. The fact that there's so much meat in this level, like there's meat with like the bird with the key up there, and then there's meat down here, and then there's meat like in the next stage. It's like there's one meat practically per stage, which I think is actually a little bit too much. Normally I wouldn't advocate making this game any harder than it is, but I do think that's slightly too generous, especially because it's not that hard to fight all of the sword knights without taking any damage, because it's just a matter of patience, basically. Okay, how are my backflips? Do I pull them off accurately this time? Yes, perfect backflips. Alright, good. That's what I like to see. That little maneuver with the backflips up on those platforms is not strictly necessary. I could go up the gear on the right there and like do the route, do the map the way that it's, do the room the way that it's intended to be done for Richter. But why would I do that if I have a better, faster, safer option? I don't have to fuck with the Medusa heads as much. You know what I mean? And I guess having all that meat is important because you really don't want to go into the level 7 boss with less than full health. Because that boss can get out of control really quickly. And, I mean, I guess if it's your first time going through this level, or if you're like still learning it, then these guys can be pretty punishing. I actually figured them out pretty quickly, because I was really backflip happy, and I was looking for opportunities to utilize it, and I realized, oh shit, these guys are like perfect like backflip enemies. So they were never, they were never like super threatening to me. And the bats on the bridge, I don't know, maybe the amount of meat that's present in the level is fine, but I don't think it would necessarily be the end of the world if they cut one of them out. Because this is a combat challenge game, but it's also I mean, look, not every game needs to be as hard as fucking Castlevania 3, right? Where like everything kills you in 4 hits, and where there's like where like a tiny bat will do the same amount of damage as like an armor knight like throwing an axe in your face. Not every game needs to be Castlevania 3. I guess that's where I should just stop there. Not every game needs to be that hard. So I guess the meat is fine. I guess the meat is fine. That is like the one like this is still the greatest Castlevania game I've ever played. This game is like fucking amazing, but a lot of that really has to do with the presentation and the mechanics, and not necessarily so much to do with the fact that I was able to do these two hybrid routes deathless pretty much on a whim. I think is, you know what, maybe that's just an indication of good game design. You know what I mean? Because it meant that once I learned the challenges that were available to me, I could complete them consistently. You know what I mean? I think that's actually what I said in my normal route video. So maybe the problem isn't that the game is too easy. Maybe the problem is that like Castlevania 3 is just fucking absurd, and my perception is skewed. That's probably it, honestly. Castlevania 3 is fucking ridiculous. Like I'm glad I got it out of the way early. Even though I do love that game, I'm kind of glad that like that was the second Castlevania game that I ever played, and like that was the difficulty that I kind of grew accustomed to, because it really made later challenges feel a lot more manageable. Not necessarily unsatisfying, but it was sort of like, okay, you've gone through, you know, uh, you you've been through the inside of you've lived inside of a volcano for like a month and a half. Now go take a walk across the desert. It's like, okay, you know, this isn't that bad comparatively speaking. That's kind of what it's like. I like the moon back there. I guess Dracula's castle, I guess he just likes it to look the same. No matter what the era is. He doesn't change up this part of it. He gives the skeletons guns, but he doesn't change the decor of his throne room that much. It's fine by me. You'd think the pillars would look nicer though. His pillars are like cracked. Maybe that's my fault. Dracula's got some long ass legs. You guys notice that? I guess if you're like that much taller than everyone else, which Dracula and Alucard seem to be, then maybe most of that height is in the legs. Yeah, Dracula as he appears in game is a little bit... He looks a little bit too normal in the in-game sprite compared to how he looks in the cutscenes. In the cutscenes he looks way more fucked up. In game, yeah, I'm looking at him. He just kind of looks like a guy. He just kind of looks like a I don't know, like a gray-haired like politician. The best way. He's like a fucking. Oh, he doesn't have a mustache. I was gonna say John Bolton, but never mind. Maybe that's the real horror. I mean, what's more evil than a gray-haired politician? You know what I mean? I guess this is more evil, the fire-breathing demon. I said that his patterns were consistent, but I feel like he doesn't usually shoot a fireball there. So maybe maybe the reason this is so easy isn't necessarily that the patterns are consistent, but that they're easily it's easy to react to them. That's really the difference. Jesus Christ triumphs once again. Another win for Christ. That's like what, Christ 4, Dracula 0? Those are some. That's a pretty decisive scoreline right there. I don't get any action shots that I wanted, but oh well. Richter Belmont. He forgot the Simon Belmont didn't pass down the secrets of 8-directional whipping, but Richter learned how to backflip and learned how to item crash, and I will take those any day of the week. It might be fun to go through this game and try to do like a challenge run where it's like play through it deathless with no item crashes, but I don't necessarily know how much of a difference that would honestly make in most of the boss fights. It would mostly just make a difference in the death fight, because the death fight is where item crashes are most useful. Because that fight can really get out of control fast, and it can be tough to dodge around the scythes. as they keep spawning. That's really why the item crash is good in the death fight. It's not because it does damage to him, although that is super important. It's just because it clears all the sights out around you, and it means you can't get hit. So that would really be the biggest problem. And I don't know if that alone is necessarily worth doing more runs of. Not that I would ever sneeze at playing this game again, of course. I will return in Symphony of the Night. That's what he's saying, I'm guessing. Because I know Symphony of the Night's a direct sequel to this. But I should not talk about Symphony of the Night until I've actually played it. I guess I'll just say for now that I'm looking forward to playing it. Although I'm also looking forward to finding out why a Belmont isn't there fighting Dracula. Why is it Alucard's job all of a sudden? But I guess I'll find out. Yeah, it is pretty weird the fact that it like usually when Dracula dies in a Castlevania game, he just kind of goes and then he dies. And then in this one, the first time he gets dialogue, he gives this I will return speech, which is kind of does put a damper, I think, on the victorious air that the ending in this case is supposed to convey. And the castle doesn't collapse, which is like insult to injury, but there's a reason the castle doesn't collapse. I think I keep mentioning that, and I'll point it out again. Note that the castle does not collapse. There's a reason for that. Even though I got 100%, I got all my ladies and the chariot coming back over the field. So there's the altar. There's the last Richter videos, last Rondo Richter videos. I'll be posting videos about Maria next. I will just say for now that I think Maria is more fun to play than Richter, but Richter is still necessary to be in this game to make it like a Castlevania game, and it's still fun to overcome the challenges presented before you with a more limited, more Castlevania-ish movement and combat system that Richter has, as opposed to compared to what Simon has in 4. Which is where a lot of the satisfaction in beating these games comes from, I think, is coming in with like these limited tools and overcoming these apparently insurmountable challenges. I think it's thematically fitting too, because it's like you're just a human being coming in there and fighting all these monsters. It's like you're not like a supernatural creature. You're just a dude with a whip, and it kind of is trying to make you feel like a dude with a whip, I think, by giving you limited capabilities. So that's something that I think Castlevania 4 undermines, and Rondo of Blood kind of brings back a little bit. Although, of course, you also have item crashes. You can call down tactical nukes, so that does kind of undermine that. But it feels more like magic, I guess. It feels more like God is helping you out, which presumably is what is happening when holy water rains from the sky, or when Jesus shows up to kick everybody's ass. So it's more of a difference in feeling, I suppose. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Keep an eye out for the Maria videos. They should be pretty fun. I fucking love this game. Best Castlevania game I've ever played. Stay tuned for more.